One more day talking about navigating some anxiety. Again, I'll remind you that the acronym that I'm using is false expectations appearing real. Such an accurate view of what anxiety is, really. And the reason they're false, again, is because they don't exist. Like it's anything in the future just doesn't exist, so it's false. I also heard it described one time as horribilizing. Horribilizing, yeah, like the act of making something horrible. Like something happens, you don't know how it's going to turn out, so all of a sudden you horribilize it, right? Like you um, drop into fresh hell, worst case scenarios all the way around, right? And then you have to ask yourself, like, how do a community of war fighters and Green Berets and operators end up taking their life? Um, like that's an extension of where this goes, right? Like anxiety, then depression, and then suicidal ideation, and then ultimately suicide, taking one's life. So, how did we get there? And how do we stop it? How do we prevent that? In my estimation, and in my work, I've learned that one of the ways that we deal with it is deal with it when it's small. It's a lot more difficult to deal with depression than it is anxiety, and it's a lot more manageable to deal with depression than it is suicidal ideation. So let's work with it while it's tiny. And in that respect, one more tip or one more key I'll throw out there that I use, and that is nature and being present in nature. If I can just be by a lake, a stream, in the mountains, um, any of those things, hike, and I really, really immerse myself in the experience of being in nature, meaning I'm looking at the trees, I'm watching the streams, I'm making note of how many animals I notice. I'm exploring. I'm looking for rocks and stones and crystals and, various things from nature. That takes my mind off of it long enough to let it pass. We should be out in nature at least a couple hours a week. We should probably spend 1 to 2 days overnight a month out in nature. And we'll get to this. We'll talk about this some more. But yeah, getting into nature is one of the best things you can do to halt that panic attack, that anxiety before it becomes depression, before it becomes suicidal ideation.